Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the program, Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. We got the good old Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show. You can listen to Buddy Monday through Thursday on Facebook Live about 9 p.m., our late night talk show host. Don't forget, tomorrow will be our first off day of the summer. We're taking Wednesdays off until till August 17th. And tomorrow's program be a best of back in the 70s and the 80s. Carlos Alvarez, Wes Chandler, Leonard George, and Willie Jackson. So make sure you tune in. Be good if you missed it. Even if you watched it beforehand, watch it again. Let's go ahead and head to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by Buddy Martin. Good morning, Buddy. How are you?
Good morning, Shane. I'm sorry that conversation got cut off last night. Technology, but it was great having you while we had you, and looking forward to this weekend, the British Open. We didn't get a chance to even talk about it last night. We were just talking before we went on there about that's the one event I never covered of all the things in my lifetime. I've been about everything else except the Indy 500, which I didn't want to go cover. And that is something, and you had an experience that you shared with me.
Well, yeah, I've my listeners probably have heard it before, but this was back in 2008. First of all, did you watch any of the Scottish Open this past weekend?
I did. I watched a little bit, yes.
Okay, so they played at they don't call it the Renaissance Club, it's the Renaissance Club or something along those lines. I was one of the first people to play that golf course, buddy. It opened in 2008. And I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again. You may not have heard it. I get a call from a buddy of mine who worked at Zurich Insurance. He's like, hey, the Mannings wanted me to call you. They're having a golf event over there in Scotland. It's kind of a charity benefit. The Mannings, the football players against rugby players. They want you to go. And I go, do what? I was like, listen, Peyton, Archie, and Eli, and they want me. They said they need somebody that's a good golfer to go. So they all flew over on their private plane. I flew over, but we were there for a week. But there was no clubhouse at that golf course, and we played it for like 3 days. We also played Muirfield, other golf courses, and I was telling people, it's crazy. The weather, you didn't see it at the Scottish Open, but one hole, it's 75 degrees. I'm coming back the other direction on a different hole, and it's 55 and raining sideways. And you're just constantly changing clothes. But I also played 72 holes in one day, buddy, on 3 different golf courses, because the sun comes up over there in the summertime at like 4 a.m. And the sun doesn't set till like almost midnight.
It's like Alaska almost.
You can play golf all day long. So anyway, that I have a new appreciation. I used to hate the British Open until I went over there. And I absolutely love the way you have to play golf. It's totally different, but just that's where golf was born. And it's so weird going over there because there's like all this land and nobody lives on it. I don't know where everybody lives.
There's a quote this morning from Nick Faldo talking about St. Andrews. Says it's probably the most strategic golf course in the world, and yet it was put down by the sheep, meaning that the sheep were the ones who grazed this. There's somebody who questioned that, but that's so Faldo would know. He knows his history. And I'll say this: although I didn't go, I followed it every year, and I watched it for a million years. And we used to watch it when we had bad TV. You could hardly bring it in. Back then it was always cold. And even back in the black and white days. But the point is that I love that golf course. I love the story behind it. I love the history. And there's 2 things you got to know about that golf course. The one thing you better know is weather changes by the minute, and it is drastically different 1 minute to the next. And people who think, somebody said, well, they're going to kill that golf course. They might if there's no weather, but if there's weather, it could be a brutal day for those guys.
Yeah, weather is the key. That's what makes that course competitive, or most of the courses over there. Buddy, before we move into football, let's go ahead and get your picks. You got 3 picks for the British Open. Who you got?
Yeah.
I picked yesterday with JC, so I'm gonna have the same guys.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I don't know who you got, but I want to say that I'm going to infringe on your territory just a little bit, because I'm looking for price now. Okay, because you can legally gamble on this.
Well, so that doesn't matter between me and you. We're just picking guys.
All right. Well, I still like him. All right. So, but I'm going to go. I wish I knew McIlroy was playing better. He played so well for a minute there, and then all of a sudden the bottom dropped out. He was 2 shots out on Sunday, and then the game fell off. And it's the kind of golf he plays extremely well. So I'm going to put him on hold for a second, and I'm going to go with one of your guys. I know you like him, and I'm going to jump in and take him at this point for price. If I'm betting him, your boy Cameron Smith is a guy that I think could get this thing done. Another guy I think is I'm not going to go Rory and Scheffler and all that stuff, but I have to look at another one of your guys, Xander Schauffele, who of course won this past weekend.
He's won three tournaments in a row.
I know he's hot right now. And I'm going back and forth between Zalatoris and Thomas, who I know you like Zalatoris. So I'm going to take Justin Thomas. All right. So those are my 3.
All right. You got Cam Smith, Xander, and JT. I actually have already picked mine yesterday with JC.
Right.
I took Matthew Fitzpatrick, who grew up playing those golf courses. Yeah. I got Xander because he's hot, and I got Scotty Scheffler, number 1 player in the world. He's played terrible last week or 2.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Cam Smith, I love. I always take Cam Smith.
I know you do.
But you don't have to be a great putter at the British Open because the greens aren't fast. And so Cam is a tremendous putter. I think that kind of offsets his putting. So anyway, yeah, the British Open should be fun. It starts really early for us Thursday morning.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Well, I got to mention Tiger, because I know everybody counts him out and says this is a joke ceremony. According to the people I trust and know, Bob Herrick being one of those guys, he follows it. He says Tiger's working extremely hard. He's putting in time on the golf course. He's swinging the club really good. And reports are that he is really his swing looks great. I know the obstacles, I know all that, but Tiger's motivated. He wants this in a worse way.
Will Tiger make the cut?
Yes, I think he will.
We'll see. Richard says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. He says no additional SEC expansion after the 2 come in 2025. Is that the talk now?
Well, that's a column that Matt Hayes wrote from Saturday Down South, and Franz quoted it a lot last night, and that's the feeling. I'm not 100% on that. I don't have any good information on it, so I'll defer to those who do. And I can see why Sankey would say, let's hold these and play them, because he's in the catbird seat. He gets to call the shot, but I'm not sure that's the best thing for the SEC. When you got a chance to expand, it's like when you got a chance to buy stock low. I know SEC, but we don't need anybody else. Yeah, you do, because the game has changed. I'm not against the idea of expanding the league to 20, 24 teams, whatever, because that's what's coming. If you want to be in the catbird seat, you're not going to be, you're not going to be dominant forever in the SEC. Now, it seems that way and feels that way. But if I'm looking at this business model, and I'm not as smart as Greg Sankey or any of those guys, I'm thinking, where else could I pick up the team quality of teams? You and I have talked about it. There's these teams up in the Carolinas. There's teams that have great history. Even teams like Georgia Tech. I know it's not a live and die type team, but former SEC member. You get schools like North Carolina and even FSU. Why would you not want to have a better league if you could make it? No matter how you feel about some of those guys, they make your team better, and you're talking eyeballs here. If you want eyeballs. So in my opinion, I would think that through before I make that decision. Franz says no. The Swarbuck, the Notre Dame AD, and Sankey kind of have a deal. The Sankey is going to do his best to let Swarbuck and Notre Dame be independent. So that's that view. I don't know. I'm saying let's wait 50-50 on that.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker M. Parish, will provide you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Give her a call today, 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR hotline. Buddy, you always, during this time that people come out with their polls and rankings. And we talked about one last night on your show. We can talk about that today too for the people who didn't see it. But I have one here, and I screenshot it, but I accidentally screenshot it without the person who tweeted it or what source it came from.
Yeah, I know.
But it was about the college football's toughest schedules in 2022.
Okay.
According to whoever put this together.
Yeah.
You got the top 10 here. 5 of the top 10 are SEC schools. Arkansas at 1.
Yeah.
Seems like Arkansas has the hardest schedule every year.
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Auburn at number 2. Mississippi State at 3. A&M at 4. Florida's at 5. Indiana 6. Louisville 7. Vanderbilt 8. Colorado 9. And LSU 10.
Well, it's important that we mention the source when we have it. I did the same thing last night, and I'm looking at it right now. That is, these lists are come out, and you said, I didn't know there was a Sports Illustrated. Well, there isn't really. There's a bunch of young people. I have nothing against young people who they've hired to write for these things, and I'm good with the stories. But when you start talking about these ratings, there's an old saying about what you can know and how much you know, and what's a farmer's insurance. We know a thing or two, we see a thing or two. So you cannot dismiss wisdom. And when you start talking about somebody putting together a list, and again, no offense to young people or people starting out.
What if it's old people doing it?
Well, let's just talk about credibility, okay?
Yeah.
And there's an old saying, a singer named Joe Williams, a great blues singer, one of the great jazz singers of all time, all right? He once said this: there's nothing more incongruent, which means it's basically out of whack and not true, than a 21-year-old singer singing, I did it my way. I mean, see what I'm saying? I mean, let's put perspective on it. No disrespect for young people. I think it's great. But when you start running these polls, and I'm guilty of it, you say, well, this is a list. Who made the list? Where did it come from? Look, Vanderbilt's going to have the toughest schedule every year. We know that because of who they are. I didn't say Alabama on that list. Why? Because they're a great team. So, yeah, I get it. I do agree with the top 3. Arkansas does seem to have one. Not to go on too long about it, but Shane, we got to start investigating these people putting these polls together and say, who are they and who made this list before we can comment on it. But, yeah, okay, I'll go with the top 3 or 4 teams there.
Yeah, and they say the easiest schedule among Power 5 schools is UCLA. Like I said, I don't know who outside the Pac-12 is on their schedule, but it's interesting. Speaking of polls and people's opinions and things of that nature, I would love for somebody to do a science fair project or homework assignment, however you want to phrase it. The Elite 11. How all those I think it was like 11 quarterbacks were out doing their thing a couple of weeks ago, and people were reporting on Twitter how Jaden Rashada was doing, how this guy was doing.
Right.
I would love, and I ain't going to be the one to do it, but I would love for someone to research the last 10 to 15 years, the quarterbacks that went to the Elite 11, what kind of production, how many games did those kids start or play in at the collegiate level?
Yeah.
I bet it ain't very many.
Yeah, it would take a scholar, and there are a few of them out there who do those kind of things, and I would too. And it's going to prove out. Look, we know the surveys that have been done about Hall of Famers in the NFL. A large majority of them were not 4 and 5 stars. Most of them were not. We know that in college they were mostly 2s and 3s, and maybe some not even rated. So I think that, but there is a correlation between winning and those stars, because that's been proven that the teams that will get the best players win. There's no doubt about that. I don't know. It's called perspective, Shane. It's called perspective. I trust you. We discussed these quarterbacks last night. I trust you to tell me, because you played the position, you've coached, you've seen it, and I'd take your list any day of the week. But so I get it depends on who says it. All right.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of, you bring up the 5 stars and stuff.
Right.
I had someone text this over the weekend on the Titan Mark text line. I'm trying to find it. I think it was Bob was his name, but hang on just one second. I can find it here. He was referring to the 5 stars and all that stuff being drafted this year in the National Football League draft.
Right.
Pull it up right here on the Titan Mark text line.
Yeah.
Of all the athletes that were selected in this year's draft, 16 were 5 stars, 70 were 4 stars, 90 were 3 stars, 50 were 2 stars, 36 had no stars. once you get to campus, none of those stars mean anything. So 6% of the people drafted were 5 stars. Now, granted, that's kind of skewed because there's only so many 5 stars.
25, I think, every year.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It depends on who's doing the starring. Speaking of which, I got a list for you that I wondered about, but you go ahead. It's your show. When you get, I want to ask you about some QBs.
Yeah, I'd love that. Andy says on Facebook Live, I guess he was referring to my homework assignment about the Elite 11 quarterbacks for the last 10 or 15. Yeah. He says, it sounds like a good project for Franz Beard.
Let's assign it to Franz. He'd do it.
Yeah. All right. Give me that list of quarterbacks.
I just was look. We got SEC media days on us, man. Mm-hmm. This next week. Unfortunately, because of things like trees on my house and what have you, I'm not going to be able to make it. Franz, who usually goes, has sick parents, can't go. So we're relying on our friends from the show Sidelines, Rob and Jimmy and the gang. You're going to be on that show, by the way. So they want you on their program to be our eyes and ears of what happens. And, of course, we'll follow it online. But there's a list out. Connor O'Gara, who's one of the better football writers around, Saturday Down South, he put a list out of quarterbacks he thinks should be going to the SEC media days. Let me read them to you, and you tell me what's missing. Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker from Tennessee, KJ Jefferson from Arkansas, Will Rogers, Spencer Rattler, Will Levis, and Stetson Bennett IV.
Those guys are going to.
Those are the ones he expects to show up. What's wrong with that list?
I don't see anything wrong with that list because majority of them are veteran starters.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that list one more time. Will Levis from Kentucky, Hendon Hooker, Bryce Young,
KJ Jefferson, Will Rogers, Spencer Rattler, Stetson Bennett, Bryce Young, whatever.
Well, I guess I don't know what you're asking, but out of that list, the only one that is kind of a surprise, but I see why he's going because he was a big pickup in the transfer portal, Spencer Rattler.
Okay. Anthony Richardson needs to be on that list.
But I
know, but I'm telling you, it's time. It's time to understand this guy is going to be a premier player. He's a centerpiece.
We hope, but here's the thing. Usually in the past, you would take one offensive player and one defensive player who usually are captains or seniors or things like that. Everybody that you just
these guys are not captains. These guys are not captains and seniors. The list I
guarantee you those guys are captains of their teams.
You think Spencer Rattler is a captain of South Carolina?
I guarantee you he's a big name that is.
Well, who is Anthony Richardson?
Who else would South Carolina take? Who are we taking?
I don't know, but I'm just saying, to me, he's the face of your offense. Okay. He's the guy who's better to take than him.
You got to also think about this from Billy Napier, and I'm just speaking out loud here. Do they think he's ready to handle the media?
Well, it's time. It's time.
But he may not be comfortable speaking in front of people.
That's why he's got to be there.
No,
yes, it is. And Shane, here's the other thing: as a journalist and media person, who do you want to talk to? Who? I don't care about some of these guys. I mean,
so who's going for Florida?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I thought you had the list.
This is a list of 6 people or 7 people that one guy quarterbacks that should go, and I think certainly Anthony Richardson deserves attention. I can say. I mean, look at the quarterback ranking systems out right now. I read it to you last night. Already, he's ranked. He's the best. He's at least the 4th best quarterback prospect in the country. Okay, by most people's standards. So I'm just saying, this is big time. This is time to step up. I like how he's matured. He dealt with his incident on speeding. I've listened to him talk. Hope we're going to have him on the show again here soon. He's the guy everybody talks about. Shane, you talk to these guys a lot. You got Whittemore on your show. I just want to say that, and I'm not bragging and saying I'm the expert here, okay? But I have made it a point to learn about this team, and I've talked to 20 players in the last couple of months. 20. All right. Just try to learn about them, whatever. Not a one of them who doesn't say that their heartbeat is Anthony Richardson. I mean, he is the guy everybody respect. So, however you play it, I'm just telling you, he's a centerpiece of this team. Like it or not, in my opinion, it's like, who do you put out there on opening day? Your best person. You put I'd like to see him there. I know the media guys are dying to talk to him. I'd like to see it. Is it going to happen? I don't know. I just think it's something to consider.
Well, yeah, but usually they've already put out the list who's going. I thought you told me you had a list there.
No, I got a list of one person who says the quarterbacks ought to go. Well, these are the ones.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, Dan says here it'd be nice for the seniors to get an incentive and a reward to go. That's how it's been in the past. I don't know if it's been like that recently, but usually you take your captain, who's usually your senior leader of your defense, and usually your offensive guy goes. So
yeah. I know. I've been to a bunch of them. I know how it works.
Anthony could easily show up there. But again, it could be a point where Billy says, like, we don't want to – he may not be ready for it, which if he doesn't show up at media days, that's no big deal. That has nothing to do – I mean, so Alabama, by saying that, Alabama should show up with Bryce Young and Will Anderson.
Well, certainly.
Yeah. And Will Anderson may say, I don't want to go. Anthony Richardson may say, I don't want to go.
That's not acceptable. When you're the quarterback and the face of the team, you go. You know, Shane, you were once. You're the guy. Step up. Right. Be a man. Let's go.
Which I mean, like I told you, buddy, he's still young. Some kids may not want to do it. And I'm trying to think right now, off the top of my head, I would probably think Ventrell Miller will go.
I like that pick.
And like that. Offensively.
Yeah, who would go offensively?
Well, I bet Lingard goes.
No. He hadn't been a starter, for crying out loud.
Well, neither has Anthony.
Yeah, no.
I'm just thinking. Chris says Ventrell Miller last year.
Justin Shorter, maybe. But, I mean, I'm just saying there's really nobody else more important than that kid. Anyway, that's just my thoughts for the day. I'm just trying to put it out there. You, as usual, you shot it down like you do most of mine.
I'm just saying.
You shoot them down.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is sometimes we're not in that locker room. We're not there with the staff and the media folks. They may be saying, hey, look, Anthony and I is not ready to go answer all these questions in front of all this media.
Which is why he should be there.
Not true. If he ain't ready, wait till he's ready.
Well, that's an old coaching thing. All right.
Eric says Naquan Wright may go because they love Naquan Wright.
Oh, well, okay.
I'm just saying.
Fine. If I'm not going this year, I want Anthony Richardson there. I want to know about him. He's going to be an amazing player. Do you realize how big a season this kid could have? I mean, I talked about it last night with people. This guy could light it up. I mean, he could have a huge year. And he's got the tools and the system. I mean, anyway, that's my thoughts about it.
I think a lot of people think that can happen. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I don't know how that's going to translate to wins. But he does have to play at a very, very high level for us to have. Joseph says I don't like it. That is not true, Joseph. I'm a realist, dude. Okay. I'm going to set the record straight right here for everybody that questions this. I've known Anthony Richardson since he was a freaking kid in middle school. I've coached against him, played against him, all that stuff. Phenomenal player, phenomenal kid. Do I think he has the potential to be really good? Yes. I said it again. Yes. But folks, we have to see it. That's no different than we think Jaden Rashada is going to be a great player, right?
I don't know that.
Okay, that's my point. We have not seen enough of him to play at a collegiate game. He started one game. That didn't go so well. He played well at times against LSU. He hurdled a guy against FAU. He outran everybody against USF. Okay? Shane.
Why you got to be so negative, Shane?
I'm trying to let people know, does he have the potential to be good?
All right, let me ask you a question. You're a trained
guy. He does.
Maybe you know too much about Anthony Richardson because you've seen him since he was 15. But let me just say this. Have you ever believed in when you saw a guy the first time and said, this guy's going to be great?
Yes. But it was the first person. I told Coach Spurrier, it was during the spring of whatever year it was. I sat in the end zone watching the first scrimmage when it was between Rex and Jesse and Doug. I don't even know who was on that team. I said, whoever number 8 is your best player at quarterback because he could throw the football. Okay. Anthony's not on that level of throwing.
But I didn't say the best player. I said
but
great.
Again, y'all are putting words in my mouth. I says he has great potential to be good, but he's not a great thrower right now. He's a great athlete.
I'm not putting the words in your mouth. I'm trying to.
You said I was being negative. I'm not being negative.
No, but here's the thing. You might know too much. You may know too much about this kid.
Here's what I do know. Here's what I do know. And I've said this from day one since I watched the spring game and I watched spring practices. What you saw in the spring game is what you're going to see from Anthony, but you're going to see him run the football. You're going to see Florida with a inside zone running attack. You're going to see zone reads using his athletic ability on the outside, and you're going to see RPO game, which in the RPO game, all it involves is reading one defender. If that defender flows, I pull it and throw the slant behind him. If the defender stays, I hand it off to the running back, and then we're going to throw the ball deep. There's not a whole lot of thinking going to have to be going on, and that's a sign of a good coaching staff using a guy's ability and not asking him to do something he can't. That's what coaching is about.
I respect that.
Yeah. Because if you're going to ask him to drop back and read from all this progressions and stuff, you're making a mistake.
I think Billy knows that, and I think we know it, and I think you're right. But let me go back to question I asked you. I didn't ask you, have you ever seen somebody and thought they'd be a starter? I asked you, when you see greatness, how do you know when you see greatness?
Okay.
Wait. Don't jump to conclusions. I'm not saying he's great. I'm saying, how do you know when you see greatness? I've seen it 2 or 3 times in my lifetime, where I'm not an expert on everything or anything.
Who was the other person?
I was down at the SEC basketball tournament many years ago, and I saw a guy play. He was 18. He could jump and run. He was 7 feet tall. And I called my buddy in Denver and said, I've seen the future of basketball. His name is Shaquille O'Neal. Okay. That's when I first saw that. Okay. I went to the LA Open in Riviera 27 years ago. Let's see, it'll be 25 years ago, whatever. I saw a 16-year-old kid tee off on number, what was his 10, I think, in their 1. I saw him hit the ball in the barranca, in the grass, that gnarly grass that, so you take me 5 to get out of there. And he went in and took an iron. I thought, he's going to make a bad mistake and learn about this. He's not going to be able to get out of here. He promptly, with all his might, hit the ball and went about 185 yards down the fairway and had a wedge to the green. His name was Tiger Woods. And I began to say, this guy is going to be something special. I think great. I saw a young guy who was a Cuban wide receiver at Florida who could split double teams and run and catch the ball like crazy and open up an opening day against Houston. He and John Reeves, Carlos Alvarez. That's greatness. I saw it, and I could see, even I could see that. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily what he's going to be. I think he will be a terrific quarterback. I think Anthony Richardson is a real deal. I've said it before. He's the best prospect, quote unquote, I've ever seen in Florida as a freshman. The best, period. With all his mistakes, prospect. To finish up the thought, I'm saying that I can see greatness in Anthony Richardson. Will he be great this year? I don't know. Will he win the Heisman? Maybe not. I believe this kid is something special. If we'll give him a chance, he can lead this team down to great moments. I think he's something special. I'm privileged to be able to watch him and to cover him. And that's why I think people got to understand we're seeing something really special here.
And I've not argued that one bit. That's not what y'all, I have said that he's a different type of quarterback and you have to utilize his abilities. And I think he's got a chance to be really, really good. And, it just depends on how here's the other thing too. How good are the guys around him going to play?
We'll see.
That's going to make a difference.
He's going to make them better. He's definitely going to make them better.
Right. But they have to make plays as well. Chris says on here, the best player he ever seen in a Gator uniform is Percy Harvin.
I know. I heard that a lot. And a lot of people.
I agree 100%.
I said that. But I'm going to tell you what, and that's true. He might be right there. But I didn't say when I saw Percy Harvin play the first 2 games, he's one of the greatest players of all time. He's certainly got the skill set. And he definitely would be ranked among the top 5 all time. But the moment I saw others, there's others, not many, a handful. Certainly, you can make a case for Percy Harvin.
Yeah, you're great. The best football player I've ever seen at Florida in my time with the ball in his hand is Percy Harvin. Not even close.
You didn't see a few of the guys, but that's right.
Right. I said in my time, he is by far. It's not even close.
Okay. And you're not the only person who says that. Yeah, and I know you're on.
But yeah, I mean, put it this way: if Florida is going to have a chance to have a winning year and win 8 or more games, he's got to play at extremely high level.
And he can. In my opinion.
Yeah. But again, you got to have help around you, buddy. Think about all the great quarterbacks that have played here that had good. Think about, all the Spurrier quarterbacks had elite skill guys around them. Elite. Tebow had elite talent around him.
Different kind of player. He was the greatest football player I ever saw at Florida.
He was a good one. But do we have enough elite players around him?
Well, we'll find out. That's what's great about
it.
We want. One guy can change the chemistry of an entire team. I think Anthony Richardson has a skill set. I'm hoping I'm seeing the leadership come out in him lately. I've heard things. He impressed me. I just think this guy is special. Gator fans, you better hold on to it in the next couple of years because it's going to be a heck of a ride. This kid's special, and I'm right in this corner. I'm saying he's got it, and I'm saying he's going to do it.
Well, we're all hoping he does. There's no question about it. Let me get a text here on the Titan MR text line. It's from Jimmy. Jimmy says, who is Anthony Richardson going to be throwing to this year? Well, you got Justin Shorter who's returning. You got Trent Whittemore's returning. You got Xavier Henderson returning. Who else we got there, buddy? We got the transfer from Arizona State.
Yeah, I don't know that answer to that question yet, but I think there's sufficient talent. They need one more probably or so. But I think Whittemore and Shorter are going to have fantastic years. Xavier Henderson, I'd like to see a little more out of him. He's got the hops. He's got the ability and skills, and a lot has, as you say. Here's the thing about it: if he does what he can do so well, Shane, which he can run the football, he is Cam Newton. I saw Cam Newton at that age. He's Cam Newton. If he can not get hurt and run the football, it changes everything. And don't forget one thing: the tight ends are going to play a big role in this offense. Big role. If they can run the football and the tight ends come into play, they've got enough tight ends there to make it work. I think they'll be okay. Could they use another speed burner or two? Yeah. But I don't think this offense necessarily is built around that. So we'll see. Is it enough? I think they got players. We'll see. All the players tell me that I've talked to, we got ballers. We got guys you guys don't know about.
That's true, but I'm playing the other side here.
No, I get it.
They're not. It's just like it's funny to me because I have friends talking about, man, I think this season is going to be different because you read on Twitter about these kids working hard. Every football player in America works hard in the off season. Of course. It's just the way the process. That's how you think. Do we have good players? We have a handful, but I'm telling you, year 3 is when it's going to happen. Some of these dudes that he's signing that are committed, and hopefully they come here. No. This athlete out of Tampa, who's like the number 10 athlete in America. Yeah. Those are the kind of dudes we need. Dudes that can score touchdowns. And I'm excited. Like I said, people misunderstand what I try to say. I'm all behind Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I know you are.
We have to.
You're just not as enlightened as I am. You're not as enlightened as me.
We have to be realistic that we have not seen enough to know what kind of player he's going to be. Yes, he's.
Well, listen, anybody can pick it after it happens. Yeah, everybody says, "Oh, yeah." I'm talking about having a little guts to say.
Well, I think everybody in America thinks he's got great talent. Nobody's jumping out on a limb saying he's going to be a good player.
I just think Billy's going to coach in the right way. It couldn't have played out better for Anthony Richardson.
No, I agree.
Coaching staff changes.
Billy has played the position, and I'm telling you, he's going to keep it so simple that there was no thinking involved.
Yeah. And I got to remind you of two things. You of all people I know you're going to tell me, well, they had a roster for the dudes and all that. But the 1990 team was not exactly a powerhouse, okay? And you guys put it on the field, and you changed the course of history, all right? And you were one of the,
but we had
one of the ones who did it.
We had a bunch of pros on that team.
Okay, well, maybe you got them on this team. You don't know yet.
No.
Let's see. Okay, all right.
No, I'm just I'm not a talent evaluator, but my eyes don't lie most of the time.
Well, they just trust me, Shane. Okay,
I'm gonna trust you, buddy. I'm gonna trust you.
All right.
But I would love for this team to go 9-2. Like the
I'm not saying they're going to be 9-2. I mean, they'd be 8. That'd be good. But I think we're going to see some exceptional play out of the quarterback position. I think you're going to see some really good running backs. They built a pretty good offensive line, and the receivers, while won't be great, they'll be adequate. They'll be adequate, and the tight ends will play a role in this. By the way, a couple of dudes can catch the ball out of the backfield too, just in case we forgot about that. All right, so let's remember that.
I mean, I'm excited about our running backs. I think the kid from Louisiana is a stud at the tailback position. I love Naquan Wright. Hopefully he can come back 100%. Chris says here on Facebook Live, question before we let you go, buddy. Ask Buddy to tell us how many current players on our roster will be drafted.
I don't know. I can't go into all that right now. I don't know. A lot depends how they play. I'm not an evaluator about things like that. I know a little bit about the game. I've seen a few quarterbacks play in my time. I played the position at a low level in high school, not anywhere near what there today. And I see talent. I'm good at seeing talent. I don't think this team is going to have a bunch of great number 1 draft picks, okay? I don't know. I'll give you a number if you need to have one. Let's say 6, 8. By the way, who's the only SEC schools ever have a player drafted every year?
I guess it's the Gators.
The Florida Gators. Just remember that, okay?
We're the only school to ever do that.
The only school to ever have a player drafted every year.
Yeah. Off this year's team, I don't know who all is draft eligible. I don't see a whole lot of high draft picks. There'll be some in like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round, but no.
Ventrell Miller will get
exactly
drafted. Yeah,
what's that?
Ventrell Miller will be drafted.
It'd be late though. It'd be late. He ain't big enough.
No, I'm not saying it's going to be a top. You asked me. That's not the question. You didn't ask me who the number 1 picks were. I can't go. I could go with the roster here and give me 10 minutes and I'll come up with something. But yeah, it's like what makes the world round? I don't know. I can't think about it right now. But yeah, there will be some players. But you remember this, Shane. Everything in the world is not who gets drafted. Okay? Everybody who wants to say, well, he never got drafted. You just told me the number of players. There were 2 stars and less.
I didn't get drafted.
In the Hall of Fame. Well, there you go. But the bottom line is you played, didn't you? Okay.
A long time.
That's what I'm saying.
A long time somehow.
The draft is not the be all end all. And, people talk about Tebow. I don't care about Tebow. Tebow was a great college football player. He didn't do what he got drafted, but he didn't make it. Okay. The draft pro football is a different game.
It's totally different.
You can't compare apples and oranges. Well, but he didn't get drafted. Who gives a crap? He was a great college player, okay? I'm talking about apples to apples and oranges to oranges. I don't care if 2 people get drafted. If they win 8 games, Billy Napier ought to be the coach of the century.
I agree. Scott says the 1990 team had the 3rd best defense, statistically speaking, in program history. Yeah, the 1990 team had so many pros on their Scott. It's crazy.
Yeah, right. No doubt about it. And yet Coach Spurrier wasn't a great recruiter, right? Isn't that what they said? Wasn't a very good recruiter.
Well, no, Coach had nothing to do with the 1990 team.
No, but I'm talking about the future after that. What happened? Couldn't recruit, whatever. Wasn't any good. Yeah. Good guys from PK Young made them All-Americans, okay?
Joseph says on Facebook, I don't care how many get drafted. I care about how many games they win in the orange and blue.
Exactly
That's what I've always said. The same thing. You just said, yeah, I agree. But you got to have some talented players to win games.
I think they'll have talent. They won't have. They want more, of course. Everybody wants more. Naturally, everybody out there who's a draft expert. These guys with 25 followers on Twitter who are such great experts on the draft are telling me, well, they don't have enough players. Let's see. Let them line up and play. We know the deficiencies. Think of the possibilities. That's why I love Coach Spurrier. He always thought of the possibilities. He said, what's our chances? Let's evaluate ourselves, set some goals. Let's go play and see how it turns out. I'd say it turned out pretty well.
All right, buddy, before I let you go, I'll put you on the spot right now on, what is today? July 12th. What is the one area of concern for the Florida football team that concerns you, and you think they have to play at a high level for them to have a good year? I'm talking about like the position group.
Interesting that you brought that up, because Lauren Meadows, that you know, who once coached in the game, is doing a piece now for Gatorbait on just that, offensively and defensively. You name the wide receiver position would be one. I'm not worried about that. I think that, I mean, I can't put it down to one. I think you don't have enough depth in certain places. I think that's going to be a factor. They got 44, looks like, good players. I can't name one position, because I can tell you one thing: the secondary has got two of the greatest coaches in college football. Those guys are going to be something special. We have to evaluate that. So I think probably defensive line, maybe front seven depth would be my concern, and injuries, of course. But on offense, other than the receiver, I don't have a lot of concerns about it.
What do you think my concerns are? I've been talking about it for the last 2 years.
Well, I know. You, of course, I know. You know, and I agree with you.
It's the front seven, the defensive front seven. It's not been SEC caliber.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I copied that from you. I don't know.
Yeah, but in order for them to be competitive and win a lot of football games this year, the front seven on defense. Now, I know people. There's so many people that have complained the last year and a half about our secondary. Our secondary ain't been the problem. It's been the front seven. And so the front seven, especially the D-line, because the D-line has to do their job, keep offensive linemen off the linebackers. But that's been my biggest
I could agree
complaint
with
the last 2 years, and I'm hoping it's improved this year. So
Shane, see, I do listen to what you say, and I agree with that, okay? So
Yeah.
I can't say there's one position, because I think they'll find ball players, they'll compensate with the scheme or whatever. So we'll see. I got one for you before you go. I looked this list today. Again, who ranks these guys? CBS's Big 12 coach rankings, okay? I looked at this list. I thought, criminy, I don't know half these guys. The Big 12 coaches, okay? And I say, rank them. How are you going to rank them? You got to know who they are, right? But this list is interesting. You heard of most of them, but the list, can you name me the top 3 or 4 coaches in the Big 12?
Well, I would go with Mike Gundy, because he's been there. I would go with Dave Aranda.
Aranda's 2.
Brent Venables, he hadn't been a head coach, but he's at OU.
He's 8th on this list.
I guarantee you the guy from Iowa State's on there. But do you realize that Iowa State has never won 10 games in the history of that program?
Yeah, but he's done a hell of a job. Matt Campbell.
He's done a good job, but they go like 7-5 every year.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess just being competitive is good for Iowa State.
I guess.
I think he coached at Urban at one point in time, I believe, in Florida. So I believe Matt Campbell did. So anyway, the rest of the list is here's one for you. TCU's coach. Do you even know who he is?
Yes, he's an air raid guy. I can't think of his name though.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Could I?
Yeah.
Chris Kleeman, TCU. All right. Sonny Dykes, yes, we know about. Sarkisian. He's 6th. I'm surprised Sarkisian is so low. Can you name the Kansas coach?
Kansas coach, yeah, he came from Buffalo. That's all I know.
Yeah, but you can't name him. I couldn't either. Lance Leopold. And then West Virginia, I had to think about this. Neil Brown, good coach. And then here's one for you here. Texas Tech.
I don't know the Texas Tech guy either.
Joey McGuire. So I'm just seeing all these coaches, and I'm thinking, I don't know 3 or 4 of these guys at all. Not that it matters, but I'm thinking, okay, rank them. Hell, I don't know them.
But I kept you way too long. But this is a Facebook Live that Scott sent here, brought to you by Mellon Law. This is the last thing we're going to let you go. I know you got stuff going on. He says, who scares you on our football team? Who keeps a defensive coordinator awake at night?
Anthony Richardson.
No. He's talking not the quarterback. He's talking about other. Well, I can't speak for him.
That's not the question.
I don't think about the quarterback. I think about like dudes that are going to like score touchdowns. Like, and we don't have. That's the thing is like.
Deep threats. No, I get it. Whatever.
We have nobody nobody's going to catch a shallow cross and go 75 on anybody. Nobody's going to make a little wiggle on a jet sweep. So, but yeah, I mean, Anthony would be the choice, obviously, because of his dual threat ability. But I guess his point, and I think it's a good point, is we need dudes. We need dudes. I mean, think about.
Tell me something I don't know.
Go back to the winning Florida football teams of the last 25 years. They had dudes that scared everybody. Think about it. It's
such an obvious question to everybody. Look, put it on every team. who's the dude at Texas A&M? Okay.
Oh, they got some dudes now.
I know, but I'm just saying. Can you name one? I can't. The point being that. All right, good. Let's see what he does. Yeah, you're right. There's not that guy. It's not that burner. It's not that guy who can take it to the house. Although there's some pretty good players there. There's nobody who can threaten the defense, right? But that's not the kind of offense they're going to have. You're going to have to stop Anthony Richardson running and passing. He's going to line up and come at you with 2 tight ends. He's going to run the football. He's going to run misdirection. I mean, there's ways to win games without having a guy that's a 9 flat at wide receiver. And it's going to be a challenge. There's no doubt about that. I think there's talent. The question is, will we see it, and who will it be?
Well, we're going to find out. We kept you way too long, buddy. I apologize.
My pleasure. It's always fun. Thank you to be on, Shane. Appreciate it.
Yep, that's Buddy Martin. You can check him out every weekday night, 9 p.m. on Facebook Live on the Buddy Martin.
David Whitley tonight.
All right, that's Buddy Martin. We're going to take a quick time out, come back, and we're going to wrap it up, man. This went by fast. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
Thank you.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Escape Apology, Sushi Hana, Regal Cinemas, Kilwins, Le Macaron, Prime and Pro, the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, where every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 2:30. You can get the hottest brunch in town. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank Buddy for joining us on the Titan Moore Hotline. Joseph says Neil Brown's a good coach. Comes from the Tony Franklin coach tree. Yeah, he's a very good coach. I got a text here from Frank on the Titan Moore text line. Please elaborate on what you mean by Anthony Richardson is not a great thrower. Is it the ability, experience, or something else? It's accuracy, anticipation, knowing where to go with the football. Does he have a great arm? I know people love that he throws the ball 70 yards. You'll never throw a ball 70 yards ever in a game unless it's the last play of the game, and you got to elude 1 million people and get your receivers down there. I don't want people to people misunderstand when I talk about Anthony Richardson. Like I told you, I've known the kid for years. Phenomenal athlete. Is he a freak out there? Yes. But he's and I really think Billy Napier, from what I saw in the spring, they're going to utilize what he does best. And what that is RPO, zone read, and throwing the ball deep. And all those, on RPO, as I just mentioned, you're only reading one defender. You don't have to read anything else. When you throw the ball deep, throwing the ball deep is the safest thing you can do in football. So, but does he have great ability? Yes. Will he become an elite thrower? I don't know. I don't know if he will or not. But they're not going to ask him to do those type of things. They're going to utilize his ability, what he does well, and that's what they're going to call. And that's a sign of a good coach. Don't ask him to do something that he can't. So I don't know if I answered your question, but a great thrower. Bryce Young is an elite thrower in college football. C.J. Stroud at Ohio State is an elite thrower of the football. because they have great anticipation. They read coverages very well. They anticipate. Their accuracy is outstanding. So will Anthony ever develop? I don't know. I'm a firm believer from an accuracy standpoint. It's something you're God-given with. God-given. Arm strength is something that's God-given as well. He has a tremendous arm, and we'll see. But like I said, I think Billy Napier will utilize his skill set to the best of our ability. And I don't agree with Buddy when saying we don't have, or whoever asked that question about, do we have anybody that keeps people awake? No, we don't have those guys that can just, you can throw a hitch to and make two people miss and go 75 yards, or that shallow cross. And that's what they're recruiting right now in the 2023 class. All right, take our final time out, come back, wrap up this Tuesday edition.
Pro football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Small enough to care. Chris Doering Mortgage. They do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doering Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. This Day in Sports brought to you by good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Beat the summer heat. Schedule your air conditioners tune up today, keeping you chill in Florida heat far away. Comfort Temp Heating and Air. Call us today, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, in 1996, Michael Jordan signs an NBA contract with the Bulls for 1 year for $30 million. What would he be making today if he was playing? Crazy stuff. That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. John says, before we get out of here, Tyreek Hill says this is basically Tua's last year to show people what he's got. Agree or disagree? I think it's a huge year for Tua. They got weapons around him. He's got to play well, or he'll end up being a backup the rest of his career. David says, big concern for me is low scoring but safe offense combined with weak defense front equals problems. I'm not going to argue with you, David. I think the defensive front has been a problem the last 2 years. Hopefully they can solidify that, get some better play out of those guys. But yeah, I don't say low scoring, but we're going to run the football and we're going to play action, throw it over people's heads and utilize Anthony's running ability. We don't have a whole lot of playmakers at this time unless some people come out of nowhere. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's program. Greg says AR-15's trainer says he's improved his passing greatly, and I'll see it. Look, throwing on air is not throwing in live action, and these trainers are obviously they're going to say that. They ain't going to say he's gotten worse. I'm a realist, folks. He throws the ball well enough for us to win football games. I will say that. Tigers 80-1 to win the Open, 14-1 to win top 5. I don't think he makes the cut personally, but we'll see. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. Tell all your friends to follow and like us on all the different platforms out there. Have a great day. We'll see you later.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.